This is Trophy Gold, Hester's Mill, Part 3. When we last saw the characters, you had just spent the night at the farmhouse, which is just north of the village of Hester's Mill, and you all had some dreams related to birthing your own personal fears. And we have a set goal that's still active, which is to learn the scarecrow ritual. A couple of you had restless sleep, but it was nonetheless a safe night of sleep, and so it is now the next day, and that's where we'll be picking up from. Do you want to check in with the character block real quick? Burdens, gold, and all that sort of thing. So Obeha, you have 3 burdens, 2 gold, no tokens currently, and 4 ruin. You also have some treasure worth at least 1 gold, possibly 2 or 3, depending on that holy symbol. So in terms of your meeting your burdens, you're actually not doing too bad. Cassian has 3 burdens, 1 gold, 2 tokens, and 4 ruin. Also 3 conditions, incidentally. It looks like you have a fair amount of treasure as well, not the least of which is the statue of Malphast worth 4 gold. So you are doing great in terms of meeting your burdens. You have plenty of money. Bonnie has 4 burdens, 1 gold, 4 tokens, and 4 ruin, and 2 conditions as well. And of everyone, Bonnie, you seem to be currently the poorest, but you do have a lot of tokens, so that counts for a lot. And so, with all that said, are there any questions or anything else that we want to be reminded of before we begin?
Is there a limit to found equipment?
Nope. The only thing is if you, when you go back to town, if you decide to liquidate it into money, you can't keep that money. You have to put it in your hoard. And so if you don't need the money, it's sometimes best to keep it as found equipment, which you can always do. It never, unless it's like something that like doesn't make any sense that you'd be able to carry around, you can have it with you. The statue is a little bit kind of an outlier because it is, well, it's not like overly heavy, it's awkward. And so it'd be weird to not get rid of it or do something with it when you go back to town. but no, there's no limit on found equipment.
Quick question. Okay. Is there any way to clear conditions, specifically Benoit's injury?
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. When you go back to town, you have the chance to clear them all by establishing a household. We do have new rules in the game for how conditions work, which is part of the brand new release for the game, which I was actually just looking at before we started. And the biggest problem with conditions while on the incursion is they can make checks harder if I think it would be problematic for you to be dealing with the condition at the same time. In terms of clearing them, it says a single condition may be cleared by spending 1 gold back in town. All conditions are cleared every time you make it back to town if you take on the burden of a household. And I think it's not written here, but I think it's probably reasonable to say that if you do something that that in the fiction would clear it, if it makes sense, I think it's probably okay to clear it then too. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and begin. It's the next morning. You do know about the trapdoor that goes down into a basement space in the main room of the farmhouse. We do still have this set goal of learning the scarecrow ritual. It's optional. You don't have to do it. You can move on. That's perfectly fine. But that is the set goal while you're here. Let's rename these names here. Who are you? Obeha. Obeha, you got a good night's rest while the others did not. And so I'll ask you here in the morning, what are you doing?
I'm Pretty much, I'm gathering myself together. I've started, like, I think I got a head start on everybody else because I did get a good night's rest. So I'm like moving furniture like pretty early in the morning to get that trapdoor back uncovered.
That sounds good. And Cassian and Bonnie, you will eventually also be roused or get roused. What are the two of you doing?
Well, Cassie immediately wakes up in a bad mood because she didn't sleep well. And then Obeha's moving furniture around, which woke her up. So she gets up and is about to say something, someone unkind to Obeha, and stops herself and just grumbles and moves off to find some water or something that she can kind of wash her face off, because she has sleepy dust in her eyes, and she just feels like it's going to take her a while to wake up this morning.
Cassian wakes up from shaking off the bad dreams, and the burn on his neck from the gash is excruciating. He waves off a fly that has been on it, and he goes and grabs a handful of cold corn from the night before and is slowly chewing on it, sitting down where he slept. And he finds himself, he just realizes that he's been taking a handful and dropping a few corn, what are they called? Pellets? No, what are we?
Kernels.
Kernels. That he's every few kernels he eats and every few kernels he drops in front of his backpack without even realizing it. And he looks and sees that he's made a little mound of kernels, like an offering in front of the backpack.
What strange behavior. Bonnie and Obeha. Obeha, you might be too busy, but Bonnie, you'll probably notice this strange behavior. What do you do?
I look at the pile. I look at Cassian and I said, "Did you have a weird dream last night? Because you look like I feel."
I did. What did you dream?
It was unpleasant, but I can't seem to recall. I guess that's a small blessing, considering that it kept me up a lot of the night.
I think it's this place. It's strange. That scarecrow yesterday just disappeared, and he stands up and looks outside the window to see if he sees the scarecrow.
You do.
And it's nearly as scary to see it reappear as it was to see it disappear. And Cassian says to Bonnie, while rubbing around his neck where it's inflamed, the quicker we get out of this place, the better, but we ought to make it worth our while. I'm sure there's loot in that basement.
Speaking of said basement, oh, sorry, go ahead, Bonnie.
No, I was just saying one can only hope.
Indeed. Well, Obeha, you have gotten into the trapdoor. Mm-hmm. There is a ladder going down. What do you do?
I'm going down because, like, they're having this conversation about dreams, and right now it doesn't seem quite as relevant, but however, there's something being concealed here.
Yeah, and there was no indication all night that there's anything in the basement, so you probably can feel reasonably confident that it's safe down there.
Yeah, if there was, there would have been some clattering noise.
You'd heard some noises, yeah, or something. When you go downstairs, or when you go down the ladder, rather, you see that the basement area has been converted into some kind of workshop. There is straw and burlap piled up in one corner. And you actually see a long table with a partially constructed scarecrow laying there. And there's also a shelf with some different things on it above that workbench.
Some books, or is it knickknacks?
You can go check it out if you want to go closer and check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a lantern or something?
I do have candles.
You can light a candle. That's fine. Be careful down with the pile of straw. But yeah. Make a hunt roll with 2 dice.
Wait, hold on. There's the Discord.
Yeah, I gotta get into it myself. Hey, there you go. 6 light. Go ahead and take a token. I will tell you that you see there are, on the little shelf, there are a couple of books. There's also some tools, like sewing tools and things like that. Buttons, strips of leather, that kind of thing. And also a jar. Inside the jar, there appear to be little human hearts suspended in fluid. The little hearts are about the size of a child's fist. Cassian and Bonnie, are you going down there as well?
Yes, realizing that Obeha is down there, I think my eyes go from Bonnie's face. Cassian's eyes go from Bonnie's face to the open trap door, back to Bonnie's face, and nodding, follow Obeha down.
Yeah, so Obeha, you see all this stuff. What do you do?
I'm going to put the jar of hearts on the table next to this sort of scarecrow.
Yeah, it's like half a scarecrow. It's like the upper half.
And especially since I found a jar of hearts, and there's this sort of space for work and stuff. Was it a ritual being performed here or some sort?
Well, there are books on the shelf as well. And if you scan them, you'll see that one of the books is indeed the directions for how to craft and enliven a scarecrow. The book appears to be the property of someone who identifies themselves as Beatrice Mandrake, diabolist and show woman extraordinaire. They write that whole thing out on the little introductory page. But yeah, it appears to be notes for how to craft and give life to a scarecrow.
Oh, I'm taking the book.
Sure. There's another book that appears to be it appears to be empty. It's just a bunch of empty pages. Bonnie and Cassian, Bonnie, I don't know if you went down or not, but Cassian, you're down next, and you'll see Obeha kind of fiddling with all this stuff. What do you do?
You go, Alex. I spoke before.
Bonnie is still upstairs getting her armor on, her helmet and her mail. And when she does, she grabs her sword and slowly, very carefully goes down the ladder and sees the basement, begins shaking her head and moving towards Obeha, and trips over something on the ground. And she curses briefly and looks down on the ground and there's something sticking partially. I'm guessing it's a dirt floor. Yeah. So there's something partially that's been uncovered in the ground. And I'd like to spend one of my tokens for a treasure.
Fabulous. Sticking out of the ground is actually the it's like it's the blade. I'm trying to think how to describe it. It's like the scythe is the long one, right? It's like the blade of a scythe. It's a scythe blade. Now, that in and of itself would be worth nothing, at least not anything, not an appreciable amount, except there's a few strange things about it. One, it's not rusted at all. Two, it's not attached to a handle. It's just the blade. And three, it appears to be engraved with symbols all along the metal.
Can I tell what the symbols are?
Let me take a look at your skill set. You are surgery, appraisal, herbs, forensics. All I'm going to tell you is that the blade is magical.
I look at Obeha and I said, can you make any sense out of these writings on the blade?
Maybe. Take a look at the blade.
You might have better luck, and I will tell you, I'll let you roll the hunt roll with 2 dice.
Oh, I need the number.
5. Take your token. I will tell you that the blade, the symbols seem to indicate that the blade is used to sever one's connection to the mortal coil. Now, that's a very particular phrasing I've given you.
Mm-hmm. This is a very fascinating thing. This is well, I think it may explain the hearts, actually, why that's a thing.
Yeah, the symbols are very they seem to be very, very carefully chosen. Any blade can kill anyone, right? But that's not what this is doing. This is severing a connection to the mortal coil, which is a different thing.
Yeah, this severs a person from the mortal coil. This is more of a sort of spiritual thing rather than a physical manifestation of death.
I think that's probably right.
Well, it's above my head, but I was hoping maybe it's something to improve grain yield, but you can't have it all.
It does have some value to the right person.
I will tell you, Bonnie, that it is worth 2 gold when you get ready to sell it. Or you can keep it if you want to learn how to use it as a magical item and weapon.
I know I have been rolling a lot lately, but I'll let someone else go first if they have an idea for a roll or something. But I'd still want to take at the blank book.
Oh, the blank book, yeah. I mean, do you want to hand it to Cassian just to see if Cassian makes any sense of it? I mean, just thumbing through it, it appears to be a blank book.
Yeah. Considering the amount of magic items, the scarecrow from last night that kept on disappearing and then reappearing, this seems like it could be magical and that there's an illusion on the book. So that's my thought process. But if Cassian wants to take a look at it, I'm not gonna prevent him from not looking at it.
Sure. If you If you leave it on the table open, Cassian will be intrigued and approach it and try to make sense of it. Like maybe shake it and try to look at the pages, try to look at the light of the candle through those pages to see if there's anything trapped in there. Just trying to smell it.
I think because you have deception and security, you will deduce pretty quickly that the pages have been written with invisible ink.
Okay. And I know that invisible ink, the ones I know of, can be revealed in different ways, often with heat. Any sort of invisible ink based on bodily fluid, for example, can be revealed through heat.
It's working. So, you can see the words. They're revealing themselves.
Look,
they're written in a script you don't recognize, however.
Do any of you recognize this?
Obeha, with alchemy and rituals and symbols, I will tell you that it's an arcane script.
It's basically the equivalent of fantasy Latin.
Does the ritual book you're looking at suggest that those little hearts are used to bring this scarecrow to life?
The hearts themselves as like just a body part. That I don't think that's important, but however, the heart is a symbol of life and of the self and the soul.
A careful perusal of the book with the scarecrow procedure will reveal, in fact, you sew up one of the hearts into the scarecrow. The diagram is quite clear about that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice recipe, but it's not a cake I'm eager to bake. So
not for my birthday.
Bonnie seems to have found what's of value down here. And unless there's more for us to explore, it may be time to set out for the day. What do you say?
Yes, I agree. I mean, we're not even in the town yet.
Do you two suppose that Beatrice Mandrake is the witch that we learned about?
Most likely, with how this is signed, the fact that it's specifically a demologist and
Diabolist and showwoman extraordinaire is the exact title she's given herself.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like it is an autograph book, but more or less like this is her own personal book, which I'm still taking.
If you take the book and the hearts, you get to have knowledge of the scarecrow ritual. You can add that to your just wherever you want to put it, either rituals or library, probably library. And it doesn't cost you anything, except you just have to have the hearts. That's the main thing. But the ritual itself is scarecrow, create a construct of straw and burlap that will endlessly hunt a named target. I can type that for you if you want.
And there's no sort of footnote on the endlessly, right? As in, how do you put an end to that?
There's no footnote. Well, maybe more careful study of the book will reveal, but the text of the ritual is create a construct of straw and burlap that will endlessly hunt a named target.
Does it list how you inform, how you tell the scarecrow what its target is?
Yes, you whisper it to the heart.
Oh, okay. So it's not written down anywhere. Okay. I was thinking that we could check the one outside to see what it is supposed to be hunting, but I guess we can't.
She was run out of town, right? Is that correct? The witch? Is that what you?
No, she in the story, she summoned the demon that allowed them to fight back, but the fighting back involved essentially everyone in the town sacrificing themselves, and then she ran. In the picture, she specifically ran north from the village, but we don't know what happened to her after that. So
She ran after all the villagers
murdered each other and
started giving birth and murdered each other. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a good time to leave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my cue.
And probably got out of hand, and then she may have stayed here for a while, create this scarecrow as sort of as a watchdog of an effect, hunt any creatures that resulted from the wayward demon.
you already know that the what'd you call them, the Sisters of Shadow or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They can't enter the proximity of the farmhouse. Like, that's been confirmed.
Well, sorry, and Jason, do we get a new set goal? Or
this one's accomplished, so you just have to go to the next set, basically,
Mm-hmm.
which is the village or the Gallows Hill.
Or the Gallows Hill, which is on the other side of the village from where we are?
It is, yeah. It's on the opposite side.
Do we want to head towards the village first? Or do we think that the gallows may be a bit safer?
And who do we remember ran off to the gallows? I remember the other person ran off to the gallows, right? Or not ran off.
I don't know if we... Oh,
well, someone went
Lord
south.
Galdrin ran to the south.
Mm-hmm.
He went south, okay.
Yeah. The story seems to indicate that, ironically, the only person who survived all of this was Lord Galdrin, right? So.
And the Obeha, what you make out of this ritual, it is, you said a target endlessly, right? It made it sound like the scarecrow is designed not to protect an area, but to go after one person.
It doesn't go after a target, can mean multiple things, such as a type of creature, such as like a demon and its offspring.
Okay.
Or servants.
Yeah. I think in this case, it's safe to say it's offspring.
So we could conduct the ritual and have a scarecrow help us or protect us along the way.
Sure.
Or set it to a task.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have a target right now that we would necessarily. I mean, the only person we know is the friend who didn't want to give us their name. And we don't really have a reason to unleash a demon scarecrow on them now. So.
Well, and you don't know their name either, which it almost feels like they knew not to give you their name.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't, in order to complete this ritual, I wouldn't need to know that person's name because otherwise I don't have a target.
Yeah. Well, if there's nothing more worth of value here, what do you say, Bonnie? Where's Mavis?
Oh, she never left my side.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. Although she needs to go for a walk right now. So if you could give me 5 minutes.
Okay.
Let us press forward, I think, to the village of Hester's Mill then, if you're just going to go straight, head directly south. There is very little of Hester's Mill left standing. An odd cottage or two, a half-crumbled well, a decaying stable. The only feature left fully intact from the village's heyday is the mill itself. And I will tell you that as you see the mill as you approach, and something starts to become really apparent in a strange way. And because you know the secret history of the town, it probably makes more sense than it would if you didn't. But this land is right by a big river. Indeed, you can hear the Torrent River, in the background. It's a very big rushing river. And yet the mill is not a river-powered mill. It is the kind that you go in and push the wheel, or you attach a donkey to, right? And in any case, as you're approaching, you start to see a lot of signs of sort of what this land is or used to be. There is a scythe, a rusted, non-magical one, presumably, leaning against a wall. There are, against one lean-to, buckets of wet orange-hued soil, stacks of brown and gold-colored burlap sacks stuck together by caked blood. On the side of one hut, painted in faded red paint, a declaration that says, "Malphast is king." And as you enter the village and you're looking around at the few little things that are kind of left standing, the mill, of course, being the most intact, you will see that someone has carved a message on the doors that go into the mill. The message says, "Do not believe Mandrake's lies." You have a set goal here. Gain the ability to see and hear the demon Malphast. This counts as knowing its weakness. I'll type that for you.
It seems as though there was a bit of a dichotomy within the village about who to trust and who to believe. It seems as some were for Malphast, which I think may be the name of the demon that Mandrake summoned, and some people were against it, as I point to the "Don't believe Mandrake's lies"
written on the mill doors, incidentally. Other things, just to be reminded of, you do have some various standing cottages. There is a stable, there's a well in the center of town, and then the mill.
Is there any sort of temple or church?
No, they would have used the shrine that you saw on the road in.
Well, this place is creepy. These blood-caked bags are especially creepy, and he approaches one and slashes it open with his dagger.
Whatever used to be there is dried up, but I'll remind you of the story. They were eventually grinding each other up and eating the blood bone gruel. So Bonnie, what are you doing?
Looks like the mill is the obvious choice to check out first, yes?
Yes. I don't want to go there, but I think we should.
Yeah.
Very well. The mill is a 2-story stone building with a crimson roof. There are these large double doors, which have themselves been painted deep purple, one of them, and the other midnight green. And the message, of course, that says, "Don't believe Mandrake's lies." One other thing also that may be of interest to you, they are chained up from the outside.
The doors.
The doors.
Something's being kept inside.
Are there any windows?
There are just some very small slat windows on the second story. You would have to scale up there, and even then you would not be able to fit in, but you could look in.
Is there something lying around that could be used to create a makeshift ladder of sorts?
There's probably a ladder, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of like just farm tools and implements kind of just rusted and laying about. You can, I don't think getting up there would be too much trouble.
Should we take a peek?
Sure, I'll help you set that up.
Bonnie, you can climb up there and take a look. Give me a 2-die hunt roll. Okay, you get a 5, take your token, but you encounter something terrible. When you climb up, Bonnie, before you have a chance to look in the little window, you will hear briefly a scream from the roof. Oh God, oh my God, help me. But it's very quick and very brief.
Like something coming from under the roof or something coming from literally on top of the roof?
On top of it. I don't know if you heard it just because you're up there now by it, or if, who knows, maybe it's just a memory invading your mind. But in any case, what do you do?
Cassian, Obeha, I think I heard someone on the roof. Can you, I'm in a weird position here. Can you take a look and see if you see anything?
And take a few steps backwards just to see like the roof so I can get a better angle from it.
I don't even need a roll. You don't see anything.
I don't see anything.
The sun is high in the sky. You have a perfect, it's only 2 stories. You can see perfectly up there.
Nothing?
Nothing. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, well, I'm just going crazy then. That's great. Okay. Continue climbing.
If you look inside the little slot window, you don't have a great angle to see too much, but I will tell you that what you see is the area is covered in caked blood and bone bits. And candles.
Is the millstone visible?
Enough to where I can say, yes, you can see the millstone is there. And the little trough that it would be pushed in.
But nothing else other than the millstone is of any, nothing large or...
You have to get in there. I think that's just all you can see from your vantage point.
She looks around and shrugs and carefully climbs back down and says, well, I saw the millstone and the detritus, shall we say, of the cultists after they were making their bone bread or whatever crazy shit they were doing in there. So that's about it. Is the chained up door the only way into the mill?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is the chain secured in any way so that we could not open it?
I mean, it's secured with a lock, and you could try to pick the lock, I suppose, but it was clearly put there to keep something in.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it just depends on what you think is of value inside, because obviously something is being kept in there, or was kept in there at the time.
I guess theoretically it could be to keep people out, but of what? I mean, there's like nothing around here.
Well, Cassian takes maybe from the third rung of the ladder under Bonnie, takes a quick look at the town, and I think sees that there's nothing else of value, right?
Well, there's a few places to look. Some cottages, the well, the stable.
Because maybe the cottages would be a better place to look for riches than inside this very scary mill.
Or the well, because out of everything, the well is one of the more safe places. Like if like something terrible was to happen, I would throw my stuff in a well.
That's a great idea. Let's go check that out. I got my rope and my grappling hook. And what's the worst that could happen?
Bonnie, what are you
I
doing?
guess I got outvoted on the mill then. Oh, well.
It would seem.
Oh, you want to go in the mill? You want to go inside?
Well, I mean, the town is called Hester's Mill. Here's the mill. We came to search everything. Why go somewhere else first?
Because I'm scared, but I'll follow you, Bonnie. You've got a good armor and a good helmet. So
Cassian, you're welcome to head home anytime, and then Obeha and I will split all the loot.
And Cassian gives a smile at that and takes a step towards the chain door.
Are you going to try to undo the chain?
Yes.
That's your job, right? You're a lockpick.
I am a lockpick.
We
I don't
hired
even need a roll. You can undo it easily.
Yeah.
Sorry, I do give you a roll. You want a roll?
I don't need a roll. No,
Okay, so I muster what enthusiasm I can, and ignoring the writing on the door, with steady hands, open the padlocks.
Mm-hmm.
And the heavy chains fall on the ground with a clang.
They do indeed. You can open up the doors now. And assuming you do, inside the mill is a horrifying scene. The walls and floor are stained red with blood, and bits of cracked bone are scattered all over. Burnt candles are nestled here and there. And in the center of the room is the massive millstone. The bedstone, well, you have to go in closer to see what's going on there. But at a glance, as you're looking inside, that's what you see. You have not yet crossed in.
Okay, since this was Bonnie's idea, she will head in first. She'll heft her sword. And is it dark inside? Do we need illumination? Or
once you have the double doors open, there's enough daylight where you can go. You can see pretty well. So
okay, then she will carefully step in, look around, paying specific attention to. Well, I should ask first. Does it look like everything's been abandoned for 100 years, or is it?
Make the hunt roll at this point. Yeah, make the hunt roll.
2.
Unless you have a skill or a piece of equipment you're using. I would find something though, because you have 4 tokens. So you do not want to be subject to 1 die right now.
Or as a suggestion, you could spend your tokens on something right now instead of doing the roll.
Too. Yeah, that's also true.
Okay, I'll do that.
Do you want to spend a token?
Yes, please.
Let me find you a treasure. Mm-hmm. You are looking around and you see a leather bundle, like a leather roll, you unroll it and there's stuff inside. Inside there is what appears to be a ritual dagger, a black candle, various colored charcoals and chalks for marking things, and a tube of silvery liquid. That's near some half-burned candles.
Seems like somebody was not quite done with their ritual here. Do I think this is worth anything? The ritual dagger, perhaps?
Yes, I would say that Yes, the ritual dagger is probably worth a gold. The other things are probably not worth anything intrinsically on their own, although the little silvery liquid, once you identify it, you might be able to sell it for a decent amount.
Okay. Does it look familiar to me?
What are you doing in the meantime, Cassian, while Bonnie's doing that?
Is there a ladder going up to the second floor?
Yes, when you get to the second floor, there are ladders that go up to like the storage bins above the wheel.
So Cassian's gonna exploring the nooks and crannies and make sure we've seen everything in this space.
How so? Are you going up the ladders or are you doing
Yeah,
something
going
else?
up the ladder, looking through the beams.
Take a hunt roll.
That's hunt 2, right?
What skills are you using?
Uh,
If you're looking for hidden things, maybe deception, possibly.
yeah, I'm looking for little things. I'm going up on that ladder and those precarious things using my acrobatics.
I see. You're kind of bounding up to the more dangerous parts. I'll take that. Go ahead and take 2 dice.
5.
Go ahead and take a token. I'll tell you what you find in a moment. Obeha, what are you doing during all this?
As Bonnie's taking a look at the vial and stuff, I'm taking a look at the room, seeing where the candles are laid out, trying to see what type of ritual has been cast here because, well, they summoned a demon here. What actually, like, I don't want to accidentally resummon it or draw its ire by
Fair
tripping
enough.
something up.
You can make 2 dice. Roll.
No.
You encounter something terrible. I think the terrible thing that's going to be encountered is all sort of a piece. Presently, Bonnie is looking at this roll of tools. Cassian is suspended between some second floor beams. And Obeha is checking out the ritual stuff. I will tell you, Obeha, that the ritual stone or the millstone itself is pretty central to the ritual. It's the little track trench thing. The has a name. The bedstone. It's like, even though this was 100 years ago, there was so much blood in there that it's like there's a thick dried film of it inside. And the millstone itself is actually carved and etched with many, many fine symbols. This was very, very central to whatever they were doing. And that's all very fascinating. Cassian, the other 2 are not noticing, but you're noticing because of your vantage point, that there is a tear in the fabric of reality opening up behind them, a sort of shiny, purpley tear that is opening up into a swirling black void behind them. And several thick, oily black tentacles are moving out of this yawning portal. What do you do?
I scream from where I am, pointing at the tentacles and saying, "Watch out, something's coming out of there."
Obeha, because you got the poor roll, they're right by you.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? The tentacles are definitely trying to like reach and grab you. What do you do?
I'm going to put on my wooden mask and just disappear, basically, effectively.
Oh, interesting. Is this a ritual of yours?
Yes, it is my mask ritual.
Cover your face and stay still to remove yourself. Oh, I see. So you're trying to, I love it. Okay, it's a risk roll. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have another risk roll in a bit. So I'll remind everyone, we know what Obeha is trying to accomplish, but Benoit and Alex and myself get to say what we think could happen if you fail. I think you get grabbed by the tentacles and pulled into whatever hell they came from.
Another way you could fail is that you find it very hard to come back, to remove the mask. You stay invisible or gone.
And finally, she removes herself all the way back a century.
Oh.
Oh, intriguing. Very intriguing indeed. These are all very fun outcomes. Let's talk about dice. You have rituals as a skill, so that's okay. Mm-hmm. And you're also, I would even include the mask as well. Regardless, you've got your first light die. Second light die is for a devil's bargain. I'm going to say no matter what, the mask is destroyed. Any other offers?
Oh, we make offers to the devil. Yes.
Yeah.
We each can make one offer, and Obeha can accept one in order to get a second light die or reject them all. But accepting mine means the mask gets destroyed.
Her true nature is revealed to all of us. Be another one.
That's interesting. It would be dramatically interesting.
Their true nature, sorry.
I have nothing at the moment. Sorry.
Got two
That's
offers.
all right. I really like the true nature being revealed. I have a fairly good idea for that.
Very good. And you have to do a dark die because of the ritual, so roll risk 2-1.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Okay, 6 light. That's what you want. You will avoid the tentacles, and the tentacles will recede from the scene. What does this look like?
This looks like as though, like the sort of camera pans behind the portal as like we still see Obeha, and like as it pans away, Obeha's just not visible anymore, and the tentacles reach out and they touch, and they just seem to almost move around the spot that Obeha was at, but they never seem to actually reach them. And then they pull back into their inky void.
Cassian and Bonnie, you can see that the portal has sealed back up. There's no guarantee it's not going to come back, but at least for the time being, it's sealed back up. And Obeha, how does this big revelation take place?
As like the threats has disappeared, a moment passes and another moment, and then there is a glimmer and movement. And Obeha appears as they did. The mask is still on, but as their hand reaches out, it's not like individual fingers, but rather a webbed hand touches the mask and pulls it off. And there is not Obeha's face. Structurally, it's similar. Like, you can tell it's still the same person, but it's more of a frog creature, blue-green skin, like solid eyes that are just black and piercing.
I love it. Let's take our break. See you in 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, we pick up the scene with Obeha having revealed themselves to be this blue-skinned frog creature. Let's just pick up the scene there.
Bonnie steps back several steps and looks at Obeha, looks at Cassian, looks back at Obeha, and says, "Is this something new that's just happened here, or is this something that's been going on the whole time?"
It's a thing. I don't like it when people perceive me, but I can play nice for now. And I put on my mask, but I don't disappear as I did before. The mask itself is like this sort of like grown wooden thing that's like shifted kind of up. The eyes have been shifted to like sort of not like perfectly what's the word, like they're not on the same level, like they've been sort of twisted.
Asymmetrical.
Symmetrical.
I'm more saying, should be worried about this, or are you still the same Obeha you always have been?
You forget, I'm not human like you are.
No, we understand that.
I am as I was before.
Okay, and you have not come to eat us or drag our soul to another dark dimension?
This is the thing that keeps on coming up every time this sort of gets revealed, where I am shown my true self. I do not eat children. I do not kidnap them. I do not do anything of the things that I'm accused of.
I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just asking.
Cassian, a body falls in front of the entrance to the mill. You all will hear it and see it, but Cassian, you see it first because of your vantage point. It is a person, a soldier of sorts. They look like partially digested meat. They are screaming in agony. Their face has been melted to just show partially exposed bone. You can see the chest cavity has been partially melted through, and there's just a slough of guts and rib cage there. And they're laying there at the entrance to the mill screaming, "Help me! Help me!" And then they just expire.
It fell from the outside of the mill?
From the outside of the mill.
Cassian jumps down from the beam, landing next to Obeha and Bonnie in a cloud of dust, and looks and takes a step to look behind the soldier at whatever might have thrown it there.
You all will begin to hear a loud deafening cacophony of crow caws coming from above. And you will see descending on your position or approaching your position a sister of shadow. She's sliding along on her little black tentacles, and the head is bobbing left and right, seemingly following the loud cacophony of crow sounds above the mill. What do you all do? This is all still outside the mill.
Does the door of the mill look like it would be able to be any sort of protection against this thing, or could it just rip it down and come in?
Well, there's just one of the little Sisters of Shadow that you can tell, and they're not very big, actually. And so you'd probably be okay to hold it shut tight. Where the sound is coming from up above the mill and whatever dropped down this partially digested soldier is a different scenario. And Bonnie, you already have some insight into what is going on here because of your dream from the first session. What do you do, Bonnie?
He says, we have to take this out as quickly as possible.
Take what out, Bunny?
Whatever it is. And she rushes outside.
Cashin runs behind her.
Obeha, do you run after as well?
I think I'm the slowest to react to this.
Very good. Cassian and Bonnie, when you run outside, you actually don't see any crows. And as soon as you break the threshold of the mill, the cacophony stops suddenly, rapidly. In fact, you don't even see the soldier anymore. You do still see the Sister of Shadow, though, approaching you rapidly on the black tentacles.
Is it on the side of the mill? Or is it?
It's kind of like coming from the direction of the like the cottages toward you. It's combat whenever you're ready, so unless you're going to go back in the mill. So the combat is a endurance 8, and I just need to know how you're vulnerable, and then for you to roll your weak point, please.
Cassian is vulnerable because his eyes have gotten accustomed to the dark inside the mill, and on coming out, he's blinded as this thing runs towards him.
Good. Real weak.
Bonnie's weak point is that this is once again her dream coming to life. So she is hesitant, and she does not act as quickly as she might otherwise.
And it looks like Cassian got a weak point of 4, and Bonnie, go ahead and roll weak point. Another 4. And are you doing the combat, Obeha?
I think so. I think my weak point is I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable from my transformation. I'm mistrusting of my comrades at this point.
Very good.
4 is the number not to hit.
4 is not the number to hit, indeed. Let's have a combat 3. Go ahead, Bonnie, since you rushed out. Combat 3.
Sorry, remind me of the command for that again, please.
Oh, just combat, semicolon combat, and then space 3. Okay, it is a 6-1-1. We're interested in the 6 and the 1, which is a 7, which is not enough, but it also didn't hit you. So basically, you're just kind of holding it off. Go ahead and start the combat. Bonnie, what does it look like?
Bonnie will rush forward and raise her sword and kind of try to protect the others from the creature as it approaches.
Cassian, it's kind of like it was at the, or not this necessarily this particular one, but like they were at the field. It's kind of like testing the area, right, a little bit as Bonnie's keeping it at bay. What are you doing?
Cassian is going to take a quick leap to the left and try to stab it from the side.
Very good. You kind of take your leap to the left and you're kind of in position, but the thing is still kind of keeping a good safe distance from you all as it sizes you up. Obeha, what are you doing?
In a very uncool manner, as Obeha crosses the threshold and the cacophony of like the crow noises stops, I think they just look a little bit confused and really don't get involved at this point.
Very good. Now, this thing has a defense called the crows have eyes. And essentially, the way it works is these creatures can see what every other Sister of Darkness sees at all times. If you fail to destroy it in the second combat roll, another one joins the fray, increasing the endurance. So you got to kill it now or the fight gets harder. Cassian, you can go ahead and roll combat 4. That is a 3, 2, 1, and 1. Again, it's not hitting you, but it is not enough to destroy it. I'm going to take the narration. I think all sides are being very hesitant right now, and this just enough time passes where another one crawls out from somewhere and joins the fray, increasing the endurance to 9, and we are on the next combat round. This is the time to take action, Obeha. Roll a combat 5, please.
Oh, God.
There we go. You will now be able to destroy them, but you do get 1 hit, everybody, because of 4. 6 and 4 are the 2 highest. But you got 2 to destroy. Obeha, take it away.
I think it's just like Abeha, like at like the realization of like, oh God, there's 2 of them. They're flocking towards us. I think they realize that the mill is not just a bone grinder or something. It may be a nest. And the creature from before is still here, but we just can't see it. And they shout, it's an illusion, and like goes towards like the creature, the Sisters of Darkness, and they stick their hands inside of them and try to like start pulling it apart, and that's where like it's like the damage is taken.
Oh, because it's like biting you as you're like jamming your hands into its beak, I guess.
Yeah.
Very good. Cassian, there's another one to kill. What do you do?
Oh wait, but I don't roll. You're talking about we're talking about the narrative.
Yeah, the roll's done. We're just pure narration. Yeah. You're entitled to win.
Cassian thinks he's well positioned from the side when one of the tentacles lashes out and whips him across the face. He screams, but actually grabs the tentacle and moves forward blinded, stabbing with his curved dagger until he hits something squishy and it stops moving.
Fantastic. And Bonnie, I think Obeha's having some trouble with theirs. You'll take a hit as well, but describe how you end the thing for good.
Bonnie sees that Obeha is having trouble and goes to them and just tries to hack and slash this thing as fast as it can, over and over again, to the point where she kind of goes into a bit of a frenzy and is not paying close attention to any damage that is being done to her.
And at the end, everyone's ruined 1 up unless you're marking armor, which puts a couple of you in the danger zone.
I am marking armor.
Okay, then you're good then. Obeha and Cassian, though, put you in the danger zone for sure. But in any case, you get some treasure out of this, theoretically. Obeha, roll a gold 9, please.
Okay.
Hey, not too bad. 2 gold. Statistically, that's pretty good. You can take more of the little, what are they, like the little like light beads or whatever that are in their guts. Or you can name a new thing to take a gold. But in any case, there's 2 gold worth of stuff to divide up here.
Okay, this is gonna sound weird, but could we take the eyes of the Sisters of Darkness?
Sure. worth 1 gold. Cassian or Bonnie, would you like to take something? Bonnie, you need the money. I don't know if you're if you want to claim something from these creatures or not. Actually, no, you've got a couple treasures now, so probably okay. But what would you like to harvest from the Sisters of Shadow?
So beyond the eyes and the pearls, right? That's Obeha found.
Beha's taking the eyes. You can take more of the pearls or name something else to take from them.
Oh, that's the second gold. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Got it. I'm sorry.
I have an idea.
Go ahead.
Mhm.
There is a offspring within the system.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that.
A shadow egg. maybe,
Oh, very good. Yeah. Oof.
that's covered in feathers and goop.
I love it. You can add that to your gear. It's worth 1 gold. So. I will tell you that at the end of the scene, everything is pretty much as we described before, except that now there are 2 Sisters of Shadow dead, torn apart in front of you. A warm wind is blowing through this mostly desolate little burg. Cottages, half standing, the well, the stable, the mill.
So I'm a little confused, folks. We opened this thing. We didn't do any ritual, but there was something that kind of came out of nowhere, created an illusion. Did the soldier's uniform look dated?
I would say that you probably saw enough tattered symbols of Lord Galdrin's house or whatever back at River Rock Keep to identify it as one of Lord Galdrin's soldiers. So,
And I certainly have from my.
and Bonnie had a dream about it, right?
Yeah.
So this was kind of like an echo of the fight that happened 100 years ago, maybe. But then those 2 creatures were very real.
Yeah. Oh, Benoit, you need to talk into your mic just a little bit more.
Sorry about that. How about
Okay.
now? Is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Okay, so those 2 creatures were very real, and they seem to have been unleashed by us opening this. I'm having trouble connecting the dots. Do you, the 2 of you, have a better idea?
Malphast's presence is clearly still felt here. I don't think that creature has left whatsoever. But
As a servant of Malphast, Cassian, I'm curious, does the presence of this demon apparently in the vicinity, or at least its offspring, does that fill you with a particular feeling of reverence or joy or something else?
Yes, I was gonna ask you if I felt if I felt that it was Malphast in the mill, but I suppose so. Yeah,
I
in
would
fact,
say you do. Yes.
Yeah, I think Cassian wants to go back inside the mill, in fact, and see if we can see those tentacles again.
I think before you even breach the threshold of the mill entrance, you will get the very powerful sensation that Malphast is here right now at this moment.
Question for everybody. Should we spend our tokens to complete the set goal at this moment? Or should I do something weird to try to complete it?
Well, when you put it like that, I mean, there's only one real option.
Let's see it.
Okay. I'm going to take the sister's eyes and I'm going to crush it in my fingers and rub the goop in my own eyes.
I love that. I'm not even going to make you roll. I like that so much. You, with the Sisters of Shadow goop rubbed on your eyelids, you can see the demon Malphast atop the mill. It is a large, thick nest of black tentacles and lots of little crow creatures sort of trying to get at this big central crow creature, which is looking at its children, its beak wide open, staring at them. And you can only see. You can't hear, but you can see the creature vomiting out a soldier of Lord Galdrin, much like the one that fell down earlier, vomiting out the soldier and into the mouths of the little crows that tear it apart for sustenance.
Oh, that's kind of gross. I'm not gonna lie to you people, but you don't want to see what I'm seeing.
But Cassian, I think because you're a servant of Malphast, it just reveals itself to you.
Oh.
And you see it as well atop the mill, and you can hear it. You can hear the soldier screaming, "Help me! Oh God, help me!" as Malphast vomits him into the mouths of the others, and they tear it apart. They tear him apart. And then it does it again. It's like it's on a loop, just replaying this over and over again. Bonnie, first of all, Cassian, how are you reacting?
Cassian falls on his knees, but still standing up, looking up, and looking up in reverence at the demon. Says, "Feed me."
I love
Feed
it.
me.
What a fantastic time to ask you about your crimes that you're trying to bribe the Justicars into erasing. What did you do that's so expensive and that it would require such a bribe? So terrible.
I think as we guessed last time, Cassian's cult was devoted to desecrating the shrines and temples of the sisters wherever they may be, burning them, defiling them, stealing or perverting the ornaments. And in one of those botched attacks on the shrine, a whole group of high-ranking sister priestesses were burnt. The bribe that Cassian wants to pay the Justiciars is not so much to get them off his back. The Justiciars know he did it, and they're threatening to tell his sisters.
Looking at Malphast now, do you believe that Malphast and Saint Hester are one and the same?
No. I mean, he believes that Esther is Saint Esther is a demon of sorts, but Cassian believes Malphast will rid the world of the sisters.
Very intriguing. Bonnie, Obeha, Bonnie, you can't see anything. Obeha, you can only see. And now you can both feel tentacles behind you, wrapping you, pulling you, attempting to make a meal of you.
I'm going to try to grab Cassian and pull him back to just, like, we need to get away from this place as far as possible. And like, I look towards the well. I wonder if we can hop in that to get some reprieve, at least for a little bit.
Possibly. Bonnie, what are you doing right now?
She's staring back and forth between Obeha and Cassian and not understanding what's going on at all. And is looking to them for some guidance. Saying,
we need to leave now.
okay.
I think Mavis looks up at the top of the roof, and Mavis can see Malphast now, and she starts to just bleat in terror, but also like transfixed. Bah, 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 bah.
So I pick up Mavis and put her under one arm, and then run over to Cassian and kind of grab him by the scruff of the neck, and I'm not trying to carry him, but I'm just trying to pull him back away from the mill.
At this point, you will all see the tentacles coming in from these portals that are reaching out, trying to grab you all. You can handle this a couple of different ways. You can attempt to do a risk roll if you just want to escape.
Mm-hmm.
If you wish to continue being here in the village of Hester's Mill, you must combat Malphast. And it seems like Cassian won't be any help in that regard.
Yeah. I don't think we're fighting this thing.
And Obeha can't take the hit, so.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it is dangerous. Cassian, what do you, it sounds like you're not going willfully, Cassian.
I think if Cassian is screaming, "Feed me," and he's more like focused on the creature than really resisting being pulled around.
Yeah.
He's not really aware of being pulled around.
Yeah. I think I am going to make you a problem, though. Not only because of your condition, but just because of you being sort of like not actively helping them. I just need one roll. Whoever doesn't roll can offer help if it's needed. I will say this is an incredibly dangerous risk roll. So whoever can stand the ruin increase should probably do the roll, Bonnie. And it's going to be 2 dark dice on the roll because of Cassian's condition right now. But you will be able to, if you succeed, you'll be able to rescue all 3 of you and get out of the village. Benoit and Chaotic, what could go wrong here?
Well, Cassian could be. Does it have to affect the 3 of us, or would Cassian be just swallowed by?
You can affect. You can say whatever you want as far as how it could go wrong. So
yeah, I think Cassian could just be swallowed up by Malphast as he steps in that direction and breaks away from his partners.
Malphast interprets feed me as feed me to the creatures. Intriguing. Yeah. What about you, Chaotic? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're just all going to get eaten.
I think it may not be quite so dramatic. I think you might just all be forced to combat the Malphasts in order to get away, but we'll see. Let's talk about dice. So, Bonnie, I don't think any of your skills really apply. I'm open to, if you have a piece of equipment that would be helpful, I'm open to that. Don't forget you have your open slots too, that you can just pick something from.
Yeah, she has the Dracul carrots.
Indeed.
Oh.
Yeah. So I will Are there any of the sisters nearby?
You mean like you mean like the little Sisters of Shadow? No,
Yes.
There's actually none of those around right now. But I'm interested in your idea, though. What are you thinking?
Well, no, I'm still trying to come up with something that involves carrots.
Oh, no, it's just tentacles. You're just trying to get away from tentacles coming out of portals right now.
Right.
I will note that the carrots, when exposed to sunlight, are poisonous, and like I know, like animals and other creatures have a very strong reaction to them. And this is a creature of darkness, so like tossing them out may distract them just by its nature. Because
there's also I just had an idea that I have the shadow egg. This might be something that's valuable.
Oh yeah,
to Malphast and the servants of Malphast.
I
could use it to distract, even though I'm spending one of my gold for this. But
yeah,
I could use it to distract them in order to save my companions.
I love it. So you've got one light die. Devil's bargains.
I'll erase the thing from my equipment.
Yeah, I'm gonna say devil's bargain. Well, you don't have to erase it yet, because I'm going to say the devil's bargain is you lose the egg as well. So
okay,
yeah.
No matter what, a piece of Malphast gets inside of you as well, like in terms of like being the servant of Malphast.
Interesting.
No matter what, you lose Mavis.
Oh no.
Oh.
we all have to draw our line somewhere, right?
You don't have to take it. So
no, I'll take chaotics.
Very good. I love it. You got 2 light dice, and I'm going to make you take 2 dark dice because it's inherently dangerous and because of Cassian. So roll risk 2, and then you can take the help from Obeha if you need it.
Yeah, definitely taking. Does that change the syntax if I get the help?
You can take the help. You can decide on the help after you roll. So
okay. So risk 2 space 2.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put a space between the first risk as well, or first 2 as well. Sorry. Okay, for dark, you succeed, and your ruin doesn't go up because your current ruin is not lower than 4, but there's a complication. The complication is going to be you're all going to escape, but you cannot return to the village.
Mm-hmm.
The village is overrun with Malphast and Malphast's power. If you're okay with that, you can let it ride. Otherwise, you can ask for help from Obeha.
Do we want to keep with this outcome, spend the rest of our own tokens, and be done with this incursion, or?
Well, I don't want you to die, so
yeah,
there's that.
So it sounds like we're staying with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have everyone just describe their bit of narration of the escape, and also, as you're looking back over your shoulder, why you know you can never return to the village of Hester's Mill.
I think Cassian is flailing and yelling, and like at some point, like Obeha and Bonnie just lift Cassian up together as they're running off, and like Obeha looks behind themselves and sees that almost as in a vision, the bright day as the sun is beaming down turns into night and the town is on fire, but it quickly switches back to present day.
Bonnie, give us a little bit of the escape, especially with the egg.
Bonnie, so I don't lose the egg, you said?
No, you don't. No.
So she uses the egg to draw the demon's attention away from them. And so she runs off in a different direction from the others to try and get their attention. And they overcome her. And in the process of being overcome by them, she somehow becomes infused with the demonic essence of Malphast. And she immediately just knows that if she ever returns to this place, she will begin to transform into one of the sisters. And then she will be under complete control by Malphast. So
love it. That's really good. I'm going to give you Servant of Malphast as well as a condition. Cassian, do you want to give us some narration as you're being dragged away?
Yeah, Cassian resists it, but he's not hostile to his partners. He wants to be with Malphast. As he moves away, there's a moment where his brain seems to be torn in two, and he's sobbing as he walks, and his world is shaken up. He knows the sisters are evil. He knows Malphast. He thinks Malphast is an enemy of the sisters, but he realizes he was about to give away his humanity by jumping into that maelstrom of evil alienness. So he's just losing his sanity in this moment, but at least he's grabbing back to his former self and getting in touch with the humanity. He knows he cannot get near this. He just wants to run away from that thing. He's a servant of Malphast, but he just knows he's never going to come back if he approaches it again.
I love it. I'm going to say that you ran to the south and ended up at Gallows Hill. It is still daytime. You hear the cacophony behind you as you reach Gallows Hill. You might even see the silhouette. If you've ever seen the cover art for Hester's Mill that's in the book, there's a silhouette of Malphast atop the mill. That's kind of what you see, right? Lord Galdrin's gallows were built high on a hill, so the people of Hester's Mill would have a good view of their friends and families swinging in the sun. There are two things to be aware of here. The gallows themselves, a raised and closed platform with trapdoors and a structure for hanging people, but also a trio of oubliettes. Oubliettes are like prison cells in the ground, right? And you see these slightly domed metal grate cages that go down into the oubliettes. We have a set goal here. Find the treasures of Hester's Mill.
I'm going to spend 2 tokens to just find treasure.
Does somebody want to contribute a token to, or this is just accomplish the goal, or?
To either accomplish the goal or just to find treasure on its own. Like it sort of works both ways. I'm not sure.
Well, it's a different treasures if you accomplish the set goal. So it depends on. So if you're spending them to achieve the set goal automatically, that's different than just spending a token to find a treasure. So
I'm fine no matter what happens. I'm still spending those tokens.
Well, I'm happy to contribute a third one.
Okay. Well, if as long as I get 3 tokens, I will tell you what you find as far as that goes.
Well, I still have 2 tokens left if I give one as well.
Yeah, you could all contribute 1 to accomplish the set goal if you want. That seems fair.
All right, then we'll split it, I guess.
One of the oubliettes has a skeleton desperately clinging to the cage door, like they're hanging there. And one of you kicks the skeleton and it falls down and crumbles into the pit. But you can see that in the stone-masoned pit that is the oubliette, the sun is high enough in the sky where you can see there is a stone that's been removed. And inside the wall, you see the glimmer of jewels or coins, perhaps. Clearly something that was hidden away by villagers being held prisoner in the oubliette. You will, I'm taking the fiction here because you spent the tokens, you will open up the oubliette cage door, use the grappling hook and rope to get down, and retrieve the treasures inside the wall. And what you find is quite a lot, actually. There is a note of deposit from a bank in Umbret, worth 4 gold if redeemed. Regrettably, this cannot be used to clear your burdens because it has to be redeemed in Umbret, and you are not from Umbret. But it is worth 4 gold if you ever do. So whoever wants that banknote, let me know. There's a pair of silver cufflinks worth 1 gold. A sack of coins and gems, which is worth 2 gold total. And a gold holy symbol of Saint Hester, which is a stylized sickle and wheat stalk, also worth 1 gold. Who's taking what?
Well, I know Cassian wants the holy symbol because I know what he wants to do with it.
That is correct.
Although maybe Cassian has had some time to reconsider his devotion to a creature that just wants to devour him ultimately.
They're all bad, is what I've learned.
Yeah, but Hester ain't showed up and said, "Feed me, Seymour," and you know.
I mean, the truth is, I think I might want to stay away from it. I've got one symbol, or I've got one symbol already. I might not want that symbol. Or I would normally, yes, in my old self would have taken it and destroyed it. And now, based on this ambivalence, I'm kind of, Cassian is like turning away from it and doesn't even want to get near it.
Mm-hmm.
He'll grab the note if no one else wants it.
Banknote can be cashed in an Umbret. It's worth 4 gold.
How do you spell Umbret?
I'll type it for you here. That's the capital city of the setting.
I'll either take the silver cufflinks or the holy symbol if no one wants them.
That's fine.
Sure.
I'll take the holy symbol then.
And you have just 2 gold worth of like coins and cash, or just 2 or coins and gems, which is just marked as 1 gold on your gold tracker. Whoever wants to split those up.
Good. So I have, according to the sheet, I still have 2 tokens left.
You do.
To spend. All I have to do is to meet my burdens. Is that correct?
Yeah, but you'll want to have some extra to like do the things that you can do during the Hearthfire procedure, which we'll do as soon as we're done with this.
Yeah. Let's figure out how we splitting the last 2 gold worth of stuff.
Let's sort that out first. There's still 2 gold worth of cash. Whoever's dividing that up, however you want to divide it.
That can be divided. That doesn't have to be taken in a 2 gold chunk, correct?
No, it can be split into one.
Yeah. Well, how many? How much do each of us have already?
I have the equivalent of 4 gold and 1 token confirmed.
I have the equivalent. Well, I don't know. This note seems to be, there's some uncertainty. How many gold was it, Jason?
The note's 4 gold, but it's not going to count towards meeting your burdens because it has to be cashed in Umbret, and you're not going back to Umbret. So it's a future thing.
Okay. Okay. So
you
I
might
guess
be able to sell it at a discount, though, in Fort Doran.
Okay, so if I don't count that, I have, assuming I can sell the statue of
You
Malphast,
can sell the statue in for
I have 7 with my found and my gold.
And are the Draco carrots worth any gold?
1 gold.
So then I have 4.
Okay, so we split it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so all that stuff is split up. You do still have some tokens, each of you,
Yeah.
to spend if you wish.
Could I spend one of the tokens for something that is not gold?
You just tell me for spending it. Tell me where you're looking, and I'll tell you what you find when you spend it.
Story-wise, I think it would be interesting if we find a small child
Okay.
here, maybe in one of the oubliettes
Oh.
that's been in kind of suspended animation for the last 100 years.
Oh.
That's
actually not too
placed.
bad, because it kind of relates to what the scythe does. So yeah, or the scythe blade. Intriguing. I like it. I'm into it. That feels like a 2 gold spend though, or 2 token spend. It's not a 1. That's more than a 1 token spend. Do you have 2 tokens?
I do, but then.
And what are you going to do with that child? They're going to become like a familiar.
Sell it. No,
yeah, sell them to the
how
academy.
Dutch we go.
I like it though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would be left with 4 tokens and 4 burdens, so that's not a great outcome.
Because I do meet my burdens and go a little bit over, I will spend I can pool a token with yours too, so you can like
Sure.
get a token for gold besides finding a child.
What did you have in mind for this child? What is your story idea here?
Well, I mean, I just thought it would be interesting to have a little silver lining to everything.
Oh yeah, I like that.
A gold lining, a trophy gold lining.
Yeah.
To get away
I
from
like
the
that.
dark.
We can have that scene. I think it's fun. I think they won't be found in the oubliette though.
Okay.
You will hear some noise coming from behind the apron of the gallows, like where below the trapdoor. You'll hear some scratching around, some whimpering.
Okay, we'll go investigate that right away.
I think if you open up the trapdoor, you will see the child staring up at you. And you will feel a humming or a vibration coming from that scythe blade. The scythe blade is responding to the presence of this child. And the child looks up at you. And if you watch them for a little bit, it's a little bit like Malphast. Like they keep like repeating the same thing. They keep like crawling to the edge of their little hiding spot and listening for danger. And then they respond again to you opening the trapdoor and looking up. They're just like caught in this like loop. Like whatever happened to them, they were hiding when it happened. So what do you do?
I feel the vibration from the scythe, and I take it out, and I look to the other 2, and I say, I know this sounds crazy, but I feel like maybe this could free her, or at least stop her from repeating the same thing or the gender doesn't matter for the child. I'm just saying her, but it could be he. Doesn't them, and it does anything from repeating, from becoming unstuck in time.
Is she real? Is she alive?
It seems like it.
Well, if we can free it, let's try.
Bonnie, what do you do?
Bonnie will take out the blade and kind of hold it and move it towards and away from the child, and to the left or the right, trying to see if there's a place where the blade responds more.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Make a hunt roll with 2 dice. You get a 5, take a token, and you do. There's like a distinct crackle of energy at a certain point, and you know that if you drive the blade through it, it will sever it. The terrible thing is, I'm not going to tell you what happens if you do.
Oh.
Okay, Bonnie will do it.
You do it, you sever it, and the child rapidly ages to be 100 plus whatever age the child was. They're still alive, though. An old woman, withered, long gray hair, reaching up at you, seeing you for seemingly the first time, truly seeing you, reaching up as if to be lifted out of the trapdoor. Do you help her?
Is there room if I jump down? Could I get her?
You could do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put down my sword and kind of carefully maneuver my way down into the area under the scaffold. Careful not to, bump her or anything like that. And I'll take her hand and I'll say, "Hello, I'm Bonnie. Who are you?"
She leans forward and she says, "I do not remember my name, but I know where the witch sleeps."
Which would that be?
The liar, the one who brought this devastation upon us.
Oh. Okay, you mean Beatrice?
She doesn't respond yes or no, but the sound of the name makes her shiver with revulsion.
Well, let's get you out from underneath the gallows here for starters. Would that be okay with you?
She nods, and her clothes don't fit her anymore, so she's just this very, very ancient naked crone being lifted out, reverse of the gallows coming up from below. Cassie and Obeha, what are the two of you doing right now?
I'm just thinking, seeing this old woman, seeing like I think we were all gathered around the hatch, looking down as Bonnie severed this loop in much rage. I just think, is there some sort of ritual that could reverse this? Something with time.
I don't know. But I do know that I was going to ask you, I was just happened to be looking, Bonnie, did you note down the roll of ritual tools that you found in the mill, or whoever found those? Who found those?
Bonnie did find those.
And someone did take the symbol of Hester, right? Or was it left behind?
The Bonnie also found that, so
Okay.
she has 2 things to be put down.
Okay. Could I think Cassian helps the old crone out, confused by what we just saw. Can I spend tokens to find an icon?
What? An icon of what?
An icon of Hester. Because I think towards the end of the incursion, Cassian is starting to realize that he has fought the sisters all his life. He's now a servant of Malphast. And as you asked before, although he denied it, he's seeing in this icon, maybe it falls on the ground upside down or something. And he looks at it and realizes they're the same thing.
Mm.
Oh, intriguing. Maybe it's something about the gallows itself, right?
Maybe it is something about the gallows.
Or maybe it's this. You can spend a token. The vagrant hunter is approaching. He is covered in gore and viscera and quite naked, much like the old woman. He looks at you and he says, "Your instincts are correct, friend. The saint and the demon are one." And he approaches. The old woman gingerly gets down from the gallows as he approaches. They're both quite naked, one covered in blood, one very old. And they begin to touch each other's cheeks in an affectionate way. And the vagrant looks at you again, Cassian, and says, "You must reveal the truth of this place to the world."
I will, with the same fiery fanaticism that led Cassian to destroy the sisters. He now wants to reveal the truth to the world, though he's not a little confused, and he says, "Friend, what truth? The demon, the fact that no one can ever come here, the fact that Hester was revealed into this beautiful demon?"
He says, "The truth that when it comes to the sisters and the gods, we all reap what we sow."
"I will," says Cassian. "I will."
Bonnie, because of what you've seen transpired, I will give you the option of clearing Servant of Malphast if you wish.
Yes, please.
How are you feeling?
She did not come here looking for particular answers, and she is not never having been particularly religious, she does not have a kind of a dog in the Hester and Malphast fight. She is generally concerned more about, accomplishing her final goal, her ultimate goal of funding the expedition to go see her parents. But she is quite concerned about the old woman, and goes over to the stranger and the woman and says, "Do you two know each other? Do you know who this is?"
And he looks up at you and he says, "In another life, she was my daughter."
Oh, well, is that who you were hunting for here?
He smiles and says, "You have so many questions, friend. So many questions."
It's this place. This place asks many questions.
And they take each other's hands and they begin walking down the road back towards his camp. You all can cash in your remaining tokens for gold if you wish. Perhaps there was more treasure stored beneath the scaffolding.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So I had another idea, which is that Bonnie wants to keep other people from coming here. And she has her rituals, her one ritual that she does have that she hasn't gotten to use yet, the germinate.
Oh, germinate. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And
overgrow it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Either hide it from view or, do the Sleeping Beauty thing with the thorns around the castle. Something of that sort.
I love it. That feels like a good end to the incursion. Just Bonnie germinating the land so that I assume you're trying to cover up the gallows hill, the village, the farmhouse, even possibly. Mm-hmm. Just all of it. Very good indeed. I like
just
it.
To not want somebody innocent to stumble in here. They came in. The three of us have come in knowing, being aware of the danger. But
yeah, I think that's pretty fabulous. Like it very much. And so, Hester's Mill is concluded. You all have plenty of gold for meeting your burdens, which we'll do when we come back to do Hearthfire. Hearthfire is a procedure where if you scroll down to the bottom of the character keeper, you'll see, or in the middle, there's a big heavy black line. Everything beneath that black line is Hearthfire. Hearthfire is a chance to learn about your character when they're not on the incursion. What's their personal environment like? Where do they store their treasure? What do they like to do back at Fort Durin? How do they spend their time? And to tell us a little bit more about your story as well. You'll notice that there are a number of options. The top one is Hoard, and basically any money you have left over at the end has to go into your hoard. And once you eventually have 50 marks in your hoard, you achieve your drive. That is how you achieve your drive. And so that's a thing. But read it though, because the first time you do it, there's questions you have to answer. The next is Household. You can establish a household in Fort Durin. Doing so increases your burdens, but you also get to get a free ruin decrease, plus you get to clear any conditions you wish as well. I would skip carousing for today. You can, however, go to none of you really need to do equipment, so I'd skip that one too. You can do librarian training in order to learn new rituals or skills. You can do healing to heal yourself of your ruin. And today we don't need funerals, so that's good. But in any case, we're going to take a 10-minute break so that you can all read through the Hearthfire materials and figure out how you want to spend your money. Bear in mind, you have to subtract an amount equal to your burdens, which we'll do at the beginning. And then whatever you have left over, you can use for various Hearthfire things. You will automatically unmark your armor by meeting your burdens. So by returning to town. So we'll take 10 so you can read through that, and then we'll come back and do it. Hearthfire. You all are from Fort Durin. Fort Durin is a place that is on the edge of the Great Forest of Kaldor. It is the launching point for many expeditions like the one you've just been on, mostly into the forest, but you all went in a different direction, in a more easterly direction towards Torrens Bend. It is also sometimes referred to as the grave marker of humanity, because people believe that the forest will eventually destroy humanity, which it despises, and Fort Durin is right there on the edge of it. In any case, it is your home. It is your Hearthfire. It is where your Hearthfire is located. And let us speak of it. So, first things first. Go ahead and erase enough gold to meet your burdens, please. And once you do that, you can unmark your armor. And if you don't have enough cash, you can just erase treasures equal to the amount that you need as well. And once that's done, we shall go over to doing the Hearthfire procedure. I should go one by one and ask, kind of just take turns doing things for Hearthfire. We'll start with Obeha, though. Obeha, what would you like to do to start?
I would like to establish a household. Do I have to spend a gold to do that, or?
No, you increase your burdens by 1, which doesn't count for this meeting of burdens. It's for next time. But increase your burdens by 1. And it says when you do so, after you survive your first incursion, you may take out a loan for a small private house. It isn't much, but safely returning to the comforts of home heals 1 ruin and all conditions. You can keep any conditions you wish, but you're allowed to erase as many as you wish. The first time you establish a household, increase your burdens by 1, then complete both of the following. First, what kind of structure or environment is your household? A small cottage, a decrepit church you are lovingly restoring, a series of tunnels belonging to the local thieves guild, something else. Could just be a house too.
Yeah, it's a little small cottage on the edge of Fort Dern. Like, it's been overgrown by like lots of things, but it's private enough.
Fantastic. I love it. And the second thing you have to do is ask the other players which memento from our journeys together can be found in the household. So basically, Alex and Benoit and myself get to each say something that just something that you found along the way, and it can be something that we saw in the game, or it can be something that was off screen. It doesn't matter, as long as it's memorable, as long as it's something you would have kept as a memento. And we each get to say one thing. I will start, though, and say, oh, I think you kept one of the kittens from under the house.
Oh.
Remember? Because there's kittens under the farmhouse. Maybe you grabbed one before Bonnie could make it rapidly overgrow and be covered by plants.
I was going to suggest the Jar of Hearts.
I'm naming the kitten Pumpkin.
Okay, you should do that. The jar of hearts sounds good to me. I thought you kept that already, but I guess maybe not. Anything else to add to the household here? I see your question too, Obeha, about the weird symbol of Hester. It does not have any inherent value. It is nevertheless an interesting thing, and it maybe have value to the right person, but no intrinsic value.
Yeah, it's gonna stay in my found equipment for now.
Okay. Alex, do you want to make an offering to the mementos?
I was going to say the hearts too. So I'm trying to rack my brain as to other things that we encountered along the way.
It can be something made up too. It doesn't have to be something we saw. So.
Yes, we came across a wooden mask in the witch's house. It looks like it had been made by a child. It was very crude and had a single eye in the forehead. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Love it. So note all that stuff down in your household, and I'll go over to Cassian. Cassian, what would you like to do first for Hearthfire?
Cassian would also try to get a loan to establish a household. In this case, it's predictably in a crypt that you access through the back of a basement of some sort. It used to be maybe a religious shrine, but it has not been used in hundreds or thousands of years, and he encountered it and he's made it his own. And he does have to pay, right? I mean, the burden he got the permission maybe from a local gang or something, so he still has to pay tribute for it, so it increases his burden. And the thing is, I don't know that he wants to give away his symbol of Malphast, his statue of Malphast. So can I hold on to that and not get the gold?
You certainly can. You cannot get rid of the condition, though, if that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, player-wise, it'd be nice to just get rid of it and get the money, but it just doesn't seem in line. So I think he's gonna put the stat. I'm not gonna cash in on that statue, and I'm not gonna get rid of that condition. And it's gonna be not prominently featured, actually hidden in a nook in his household.
Love it. That's great. I would go ahead, if you want to take it out of your found equipment, you can go ahead and just put it in your household memento notes if you wish.
Okay.
And we'll make a note that your household is a series of tunnels, ancient shrine. And mementos, I'm going to say that you kept the statue of Saint Hester from the roadside shrine. You had that brought to the tunnels.
Okay, is that down here where someone else is right now? Is this here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mementos.
Yeah, that's where you put it. Yeah.
Statue of Hester from
the one that you defaced.
So I increase my burden by 1 to 4. And then the ruin thing and the condition thing applies right away?
Yeah, you lower your ruin by 1 and you take away all the conditions except for Servant of Malphast. Or you can keep any of them, but you can't get rid of Servant of Malphast as long as you have that statue. So.
Okay. So that's it. And then...
Oh, go ahead.
And I suppose if you come back to me, I'll spend another gold on healing, I think. if I may.
That is true. Everybody else gets to contribute to the mementos, though, and I gave you the statue of Saint Hester. Chaotic and Alex get to speak as well.
I'm going to say that like you on like the like in the village as we were exploring it like sort of off screen before we encountered the mill, like you found some old dried up paints and you're using those to paint something like sort of on a canvas that's hung up. It's still undone.
I love it.
I think that you felt strangely attached, also because Chaotic already has a new pet. So I mean, Omeha has a new pet. That you kind of don't want to feel left out. So since Bonnie has Mavis and Omeha now has the cat, you also acquire a pet of some kind of your choosing.
All of snakes. Does that do that?
I'm not going to specify what it is. I'll leave that up to you.
Pet of some sort.
Sure, I'll take a pet snake.
Okay, snake. That sounds good.
That stays in the household, right?
Yeah, you just put it in the little mementos section.
Yeah, it eats mice and other vermin.
We'll go over to Bonnie for now. We'll come back to everybody else in a bit. Bonnie, what would you like to do to start for Hearthfire?
So she also wants to establish a household.
Tell us about it.
So the household is not for the money is spent not for a down payment on the property itself, because she takes over an abandoned ruin on the way on the outskirts. Maybe that was part of a ruined town that once existed near the town that we've been talking about. And it's an ancient amphitheater that's built into the side of a hill, and it's overgrown. There are trees growing out of it. So the money is spent kind of getting it back, like hiring people to get it back into slightly better shape. And what she wants to do is she kind of rolling with the idea of, birth and fecundity and all that we've been dealing with in this adventure. She wants to open up a place where people can come together and learn about midwifery.
Oh,
so she wants to use her knowledge of surgery and that to teach other people, and also to plant herbs and like figure out herbs that can be used to help with the birthing process, to ease the suffering.
I love it. I'm going to say that you came back with a triptych, I think it's how it's pronounced, like a little triple picture thing, depicting the three holy symbols of Saint Hester: the shaft of wheat, the cornucopia, the sickle.
I think when you found the child, she had a little bracelet made out of a leather string and some wooden beads. And when she aged into a full-grown woman, that bracelet broke on the floor and you picked it up. So it's a broken bracelet from the child.
I think this is rather than you picking it up, but rather something Omeha picked up but gave you as a gift. One of those one of those pots from the farmhouse.
Fantastic.
Like a cooking pot?
Yes.
A little rules thing that's worth noting here, because you're the only one who ended up with one, Bonnie. If you magical items increase your burdens by 1 if you keep them, and so the magical scythe will bump your burdens up if you keep it. Just FYI, but it's a magical item, and in this game, that's very powerful. It's not something that happens very often. So. But it is up to you whether you want to keep it or sell it.
Sure, I'll keep it for now. The burdens are created by just the equipment otherwise, right?
And establishing your household. So based off your starting equipment and your household and keeping the magical scythe blade, your burdens will be 5.
So that's 1 for the sword, 1 for the helmet, 1 for the household.
And 1 for the magic item, plus 1 to start.
And everybody starts with 1.
Yes.
Okay.
And if we play this character again, you can kind of like go deeper with your knowledge of the blade and kind of what it does and how it works and everything and stuff. So good. Okay, let's go back over to Obeha. What do you want to do next with your money?
I would like to spend a gold to reduce my ruin by 1.
Okay. That puts you at your starting ruin, so you're good to go. You can also do the freebie too if you don't want to do that.
I'm good with spending it for now.
Okie doke. Cassian, did you want to lower ruin as well?
Yes, and that's gonna mean that I have no gold to hoard towards my drive, right? That's fine.
If you don't cash in the did you ever cash in are you cashing in the jawbone right now?
Yeah, I would cash it in to heal.
Yeah, you can cash in the jawbone to heal 1, and then you can do there's a free healing option as well that you can do to heal again, so you'd be down to your minimum ruin.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, unless you sell that statue, you don't have anything to put in your hoard. So
okay. So yeah, he's gonna do that.
Unless you want to sell the note at a discount. You can sell the note at a discount and get 2 gold for it.
No, he's gonna hold on to it.
Okay.
He found a new god. Like, what more can you want?
Indeed. For the healing options, you have 3 choices there if you want to pick one and do it.
For the free one.
For the free one, yeah.
Well, Cashin is gonna self-flagellate as Cashin does with probably some sort of like cat. I don't know if it's a cat of 9 tails or something, but he's got a complex relationship with the sisters and now complex relationship with Malphast, which may or may not be the same thing. So he's a complicated fellow and he finds peace in pain.
I love it. Very, very good. So that was the how you satisfy your physical desires. Good. I feel like we've learned a lot about Cassian right now. Fantastic. Okay, so those spending the money plus that will put you down to 2 ruin. And Bonnie, did you want to lower your ruin as well?
Yeah, I automatically got 1 ruin off for the household, correct?
Indeed.
So I've taken that 1, and I'm going to spend 1 of the gold to take it down to 2.
Sounds good.
And I'm guessing that's the lowest it can go.
That's as low as it can go. Yeah.
Okay. So I've spent a gold on that. Do I need to narrate that?
No, only if you're going to do the freebie. There's a freebie option. There are 3 freebie options in the healing section, which you can do until they're all spent. So or you can just spend gold. So save those for later.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll do that instead. I'll use the freebie option number 3, and describe the beautiful amphitheater that I have. That I'm slowly starting to reclaim from the forest. The forest has taken it over.
I love it.
And I'm slowly unearthing it, excavating it.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, so as I said, it's quite ancient. So there are many trees and plants growing around. So she spends a lot of time carefully trimming back things. And if there's a larger tree, she tries to figure out if she can incorporate the tree into the amphitheater as it exists now, and maybe turn that area into something else. And there's one big tree that's kind of in the what used to be the stage part of the amphitheater, which she can't bear to cut down because she becomes quite fond of it. And she starts hanging things from the branches of the tree, and they catch the light, things that can catch the light. And so when somebody enters the amphitheater on a sunny day, there are always little beams of light kind of playing around the whole area.
Fantastic, thank you. Obeha, you have 1 gold left. Did you want to store that?
Absolutely.
All right. The first time you stash gold in your hoard, please tell us, where do you keep your hoard so no one can find it?
I think, as like I stated before, that where I would put treasures and whatnot, I think there's a well on the property that I have, and I just put it down there. Like I take the bucket and like just dump it at the bottom.
Fantastic. And narrate a quick flashback to the moment your drive became important to you. You learn about the morning night. What's that all about?
This would be a few years after Obeha became unmasked Fateborn rather than a masked Fateborn, in which they started to turn into more of this frog-like creature. They began to isolate themselves from society, and during one night they had a dream of a procession through the woods in which these group of Faeborn were carrying sort of this glass casket which contained this night that seemed to radiate just the morning light. And in this casket, this knight turns to Obeha and just mouths the words, "Find me."
I love it. You are 1/50th of the way there. Congratulations.
2%.
2%. Fantastic. Bonnie, you have 1 more gold left. Did you want to spend it on putting in your hoard?
I actually have 2 because I decided to not do the healing.
Indeed.
Pay for the healing.
You can certainly store them both away if you wish.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Where do you keep your money so no one can find it?
She's having a little trouble trusting people these days. So she makes sure she turns all of her accumulated wealth into basically banknotes, which she then sews into her clothes.
Very good. I would say that's quite untrustworthy. Please narrate a flashback to when your drive became important.
So the flashback is to a time when after her parents had disappeared already, and she had lost everything. And at first, she was very concerned about getting enough money to repurchase the ancestral home that they had lived in, and kind of reestablishing the lifestyle that they had lived when she was little. But the more she started working towards it, the more she realized that that was not the part of about her parents missing and they're losing their fortune, that she was really strongly trying to recover, that she really just wants her parents back, and that she feels like they're still out there somewhere. And that, so when she realized that and stopped trying to find joy and sense of completion in the material things, but she's no longer trying to do that. She just wants her parents back.
Fantastic. You are 4% closer to, you've accomplished 4% of what you need to get there. Congratulations. Does anybody else want to do anything else for Hearthfire at this point? If you don't have any money, all you can do is get new rituals or skills at the cost of 1 burden per ritual or skill. And so if there's nothing, stinger number 1. We see a river. Not the Tauren River, though. It's another river, different river. A river that will eventually flow to a camp where people are panning for gold. And we see it's nighttime. And we see some halting steps along the bank of the river. Clumsy, stilted, tentative, like step, 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 stop, step, stop, step, step, step. And then we see that the steps belong to the scarecrow. Its button eye glowing in the moonlight. You hear bump, 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 bump in its chest as it seeks its target. It slumps down and slides into the river and rides the current down into that camp. And with that, let's do stars and wishes. Stars are things we enjoyed about the entire series, not just today. And wishes are things that, especially if you're returning for the next series, what you hope to see next time. So whoever wants to go, take it away.
I still have
Definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
I gotta give a star for just all the devil's bargains. Like this game, it's also very good. I just love it.
I'll start for me. I really enjoyed the theme of harvest and the sort of birth themes and pregnancy themes, and all of that was like coming out very, very strongly. And it even in the sort of like final culmination of the moment between the vagrant hunter and the old woman, that old woman thing just came out of nowhere because of what we kind of worked out for that token spend, but it kind of tied nicely into this idea of like dying and birth, in a weird kind of way, because she was sort of like reborn out of the out of the trap door, right? Which I thought was really great. I liked all the sort of tension of the confrontation with Malphast and in the mill. That was all really fun and enjoyable. And yeah, and those are my initial stars as I'm just thinking about it.
I liked Obeha rubbing the eyes into her own eyes so that they could see
Yeah, I love that.
the demon. And I like the continuing back and forth that we had in the game between whether the saints are demons or are they not demons or what are they. And I feel like that's not completely there's definitive yet. That's still in process.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the pandemonium. There's part of me that wishes all was clear and laid out, and I understood what happened in that town in the past or even today. And there's part of me that enjoys, it feels more real, that it's all quite confusing and what triggered it and yeah, what happened and who was what. And did we solve anything or did we find anything? But the scenes are very vivid. So stars for that.
One wish for me would definitely be to find out who the naked guy really is and what his purpose there was, and to see if have another interaction with him. And to check up on the old lady.
Yeah.
Did she die?
His presumptive daughter.
Right. His presumptive daughter.
Yeah.
Turns out he was lying to us and she's going to be sacrificed. But
yeah, he's at the millstone right now. I mean, I know what his story is, and you can find out by reading the incursion, I suppose. But if you want to keep it a mystery, by all means. I really enjoyed I also liked how the Devil's Bargains kind of shaped the story. I did like that addition of the child/old woman at the end. It's kind of one of those things where, I didn't see it coming, but I really like how it worked out. I enjoyed the tactical decisions you were all making as far as like spending tokens and doing cycles. That was really good. And I thought the confrontation with Malphast was very satisfying, despite the fact you did not fight Malphast. You still had to kind of like contend with Malphast in some way. I thought that was really good. And I like the covering up the town with Germinate. I thought that was really good too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like, I just find like the entire theme of like harvest and pregnancy and that sort of thing very fascinating, especially like with like how just we interpret the themes of whether or not the importance is put on the parent or the child's. Like for like I think a good majority of the group, it's more put on like the child as the important part of the entire experience. That is the end goal. That is what's meant to happen. Where for me personally, I find that the idea of it being an experience, being sort of a transformation, that's where sort of where my interpretation comes from it. And I just like seeing that played out.
Yeah, I thought the character developments was really interesting for all three characters. Obviously Obeha was very much within the sort of like birth themes, especially with the tadpoles and all that. Like that was really good and interesting. I liked this sort of like interesting sort of theological journey that Cassian was on, right? And how that sort of like played out at the end, especially when we saw Cassian's home or household. It was all very good. And I also a star for keeping the statue in the condition. I think it just leads to an interesting story because obviously the scarecrow is hunting you now, right? And so that's very fun. And so I just kind of enjoyed that. And I really enjoyed like this Bonnie is a really interesting character because there's this like I found the idea of the amphitheater really interesting, and it kind of like revealed to me something about the character that I didn't really know until you did it, you know. And so I just appreciated seeing that part of the story, and it was really, really good. Yeah, so
it's an homage to one of my favorite books that I read as a kid, which was Momo by Michael Ende. He's the one who wrote The Neverending Story.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've read that. Yeah, and
it was one of the first books that got me into fantasy. I read it before I read any Tolkien stuff. So it's about Momo's about a little girl who lives in an abandoned amphitheater at the edge of a town, but it's set in modern times.
I love it. My wishes, obviously, I think I have Cassian and Obeha back for the next incursion, which will be not till July, but in July we'll be doing that. And then, so I'm excited to see that again. I do hope we get to see Bonnie again. I hope this is not our last trip with Bonnie. So I hope we get to see Bonnie at some point in the future as well. But also I'm curious to see, like, you know, new characters will be introduced into the campaign in July. So I'll be curious to see how that all goes together. And yeah, and the incursion we're doing next in July is one I've only run once before to test it out, and so that's kind of fun too because I like I can run Hester's Mill like from my like in my sleep, like I don't like need to read it, you know, but like so it'll be fun to kind of I'll feel a little more challenged by panning Last River, I think. So.
It's going to be really fascinating, especially with like new members, because it seems like we're going to have like a full group next time. So
yeah, I think probably so. Yeah.
And so, and even though you officially didn't give me this condition, I still put it down as frog form because
yeah, I like it.
It seemed appropriate to keep that. So
you want to memorialize it, if nothing else, right? Like you have to have a way of remembering it. I think a condition's a good way of doing it. Any other stars or wishes?
Yeah, a star definitely for the size of the group. Actually, strangely, I think it works really well.
I love 3 players. Yeah,
because there's such a strong narrative element to it that people can add to. I think if once you start getting more players, you start having somebody just sitting around being quiet a lot, which, you know, some people really enjoy. But I think for this particular group, we each had our own things to add, and I never felt like I was not participating, but I, you know, so that I felt it was good size group.
I love 3 players. I'll go up to 4, but 3 is my sweet spot. But I can do 4 pretty well too. But more than that, it starts to be hard to manage Spotlight for me at least. But any other stars or wishes? Okay. Stinger number 2.
Oh no.
We are looking at somewhere north of Hester's Mill. The ball of snakes is positively gigantic now. Serpents flying to it, making it ever so bigger. And serpents begin to be pulled up out of the earth and added to the spherical corpus. And as the serpents are pulled up out of the earth itself is pulled up. And we see a woman being pulled up out of the earth like a root. She is wearing tattered velvet robes embroidered with silver symbols. auburn hair. A little older, but beautiful in her way. And her body is lifted up as the serpents are lifted up. And her body is brought into the ball of snakes as well. And as the ball of snakes absorbs her, we just see her face, placid and pristine, surrounded by the serpents. And then her eyes open. And that will conclude our time together. I will see 2 of you in July, and hopefully Alex will get to play again sometime soon too.